another video, and right now I'm just sitting at the Tesla supercharger. Okay, so I had to turn the camera. So yeah, basically Monday I found out I won't have my job after next week. And so we were in a meeting, and my manager, he just put like a 15-minute call on my calendar, and I was like, okay, sure. Because that morning we had a meeting, and I was just going over like some projects and just saying, hey, you know, like this is some things that I've done, things that we can be doing for the team to improve, yada yada. It was all good. Then 1 o'clock that afternoon, he set up the call and basically told me that leadership can't fit me in the budget, or something along the lines of having to do with the budget. So yeah, he was like, oh, you know, if you ever need me for a referral, yada yada, you know, let me know. I'd be happy to refer you. It's nothing that you've done wrong. It's just they just don't have the budget right now. And I'm just like, wow, like, and this isn't my first go round. I've been laid off twice, well, once, and this is just the second time. And I'm just like, oh man, like, did they even consider, like, oh, it would probably be considerate to give her more than a 2 weeks notice. You know, I had a lot of things scheduled, so I know, like, for my, I was gonna have surgery next month, or really in like 3 weeks, and I have to call the surgery center to cancel that because I already had it planned. I had my savings, and now I just feel like I have to shift my priorities a bit. And so it's a little frustrating because, like, right now I have my work laptop and I'm joining meetings, and they're still asking me, oh, hey, Taylor, can you do this? Hey, Taylor's gonna set this up. It's just like, I've created a transition document already because I'm so checked out. Like, I'm just so, I don't know, it's frustrating. But everyone's like, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? Oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna do this for next year's rollout. And it's just like, I don't know, it feels as if, all right, let's, even though I'm getting paid for it, it's just like, let's just use her up while we have her now. And I've done so much work here. I've done so much work in my last job that I gotta let go from, and it's just frustrating. So I was angry, I was sad. It really did hurt my feelings at first, and I won't say that it still does, but it's just like, dang, y'all told me before I joined, like, oh yeah, you know, we're talking about the fiscal year, and then we're talking about upcoming projects and deadlines in November, and then we're talking about next year's rollout, migration, yada yada. Oh my god, excuse me. To find out that, oh yeah, by the way, we won't need you by the end of the month. Like, what? You know, it's annoying. So I've been scared to call the surgery center and cancel or just postpone my surgery, because it was something, it was like a goal that I had that I really wanted to get done. But I think I'm giving this to God. I want to say I think this is happening for a reason. For what reason, I have no idea. Everyone's just been telling me, oh, you know, this is a bigger blessing coming out of this, or you just don't know what what could happen in like another month or two. Like you just don't know. Like my last job, I knew 2 months prior that they were letting me go. And so that gave me enough time to actually look for a job. I built out this Excel spreadsheet. I applied to jobs. I used the AI resume builder. I was, that truck is screeching really loud. I was reaching out to recruiters. I was reaching out to referrals. I was talking to career mentors, and nothing. And I had a trip booked. I already had a plane ticket, and I already had a trip I had paid for to go to Coachella. And before Coachella, I still didn't have a job. And so I was like, okay. But the night before we had to fly out, I think it was a night or two before we had to fly out, something told me to check my LinkedIn. And it was just this recruiter saying, hey, I saw your profile, yada, yada. And then I think we talked that next day. And then I just talked about my experience and whatever. And then he was saying the team wanted to hire pretty quickly. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, let me know when the interviews can be set up. And then I flew to Coachella. Well, I flew to LA, and then we drove to Yucca Valley. And I had my interview out there, funny enough. That same day, like an hour or two later, while we were driving through like the mountains, I got a phone call from the sourcer, I guess, over the position that offered me the job. And it was just like, wow, like I literally had to take a leap of faith and still take my trip, even though I had no other means of like income. Like my boyfriend was covering things for me, and I've always just been an independent person where I like to take care of stuff on my own. And so got the job, cried, because it was just like a whole surreal moment for me. It was just like, wow, this came so unexpected. And so that's the job that I'm currently at now, and finding out, in the fall, like, oh wow, like I've already budgeted up until like next year. Like I've already had like a budget plan laid out. I was talking about taking another trip, or talking about doing things for my birthday, and these are things that, it's like security. I'm thinking, okay, I know what I'm going to make. I know this is currently what I'm making right now. It's guaranteed. And now it's just like, what's guaranteed now, And it's not to say that those things still won't happen. It's just different. It's a different mindset. It just feels like companies just don't consider like, oh, she has a life. They don't consider that, that I have a life, or that I have X, Y, and Z, or bills, or yada yada, or food to get to buy. And I don't think they consider all that. It's just like, give her 2 weeks notice and she'll figure it out. We don't know what the job market looks like, but we just don't have the budget for her. Yes, you do. You do. It's interesting. But I guess the bright side of this, I don't have to get up on the computer and join meetings or whatever, and just talk and go over things. So I can actually get up and focus and concentrate on what makes me happy. And I think I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, what does make me happy? What am I passionate about? Is this a calling, or is this something that God is doing in my life? Because for a moment I started blaming myself. Well, what did I do wrong? And I know my manager and, another UX manager that I work with, they both told me like, no, you've done an outstanding job here. You've done nothing wrong. You've been exceptional. You've added so much value to this team. But it's just like, well, damn, like, if that's the case, then why is leadership above y'all telling me that I don't need to be here anymore? So it's a real, like, It's a real jab, but maybe it's just me to figure out this passion, or figure out what God's calling is for me. I have this camera. I was calling a DG Osmo Pocket 3, but it's a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. So yeah, not a DG. So I have this camera that I'm using, and I'm just going to document my life and go from there. I'm a super private person because I've just always been that way, but I don't know, for some reason this just feels comfortable now. I'm like, maybe this is what I want to do, and it feels right. It feels genuine. It feels genuine to talk about things that I'm dealing with, or things that other people are dealing with, and maybe that would in turn help other people in the same boat as me, other women, whether it's black women, white women, whatever. Like, maybe that will just help all of us go through the motions together, and just offer support to each other, and just figure it out, offer any resources or whatever. So I hate this feeling. I'm not gonna lie to you, I do hate this feeling, because it's like, I still have to show up. I still have to join this meeting in like an hour and act like I care, but I don't care anymore. I just it's just like, well, what are y'all expecting out of me? I gave you a transition doc. Just take it and just go from there. But we'll see how this goes. This is my favorite time of year. I usually do have good news around this around this time of year. Like, I usually get oh, that car is jacked up. I usually get decent, what's the word I'm looking for? I usually get great news. I usually get great opportunities. I don't know, the fall for me is usually just a feel good time, and things start to work in my favor. Like, things are working in my boyfriend's favor, and I'm just like, okay, well, while you know your passion and you're doing amazing things, like, what am I supposed to do? I literally went to school, got straight A's, got mad if I got a B or a C, graduated with a degree, bachelor's degree, went to work, did internships, and just grew up. And I just grew my career and throughout corporate. That got me to where I am today. And it's just like, okay, well, where do I go from here? For like the super passionate, super creative people that know what they love to do. I know it's not easy, but it just seems like it seems easy, and I know it's not. It seems easy for them. And it's just like, for someone like me, I'm just very practical and analytical, and it's just like, well, what do I do with these skills? And so that's why now I'm like, okay, how can these skills transfer into something that I love to do? And we're just gonna take it from there. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all that's on my mind right now. I'll be able to at least get up and go walk when I feel like it, and start. I started boxing classes last month, so I can get back on that, and just taking advantage of the free time throughout my day, and go from there. I do have to call the surgery center. Yeah, it's just like, I'm thinking of all of these things, and my plan, it's like, my plan is not God's plan. It's almost like, was someone laughing at me while I was planning and budgeting and doing whatever. It's just like, yeah, y'all like warned me. I had no warning whatsoever. So it's like, what do I do with this? Yeah, it's like, what do I do with this? Yeah. Supercharging is almost complete. Every time I see like a notification from my car, I kind of chuckle to myself because of my car's name. So let me see. So my car's name is, will this focus please? Oh yeah, that's my car's name, Big Booty Judy. It's just like, oh, the supercharging is almost complete. So I was like, who's texting me? Yeah. But this is the journey. Maybe this is meant to be a part of my journey. Maybe my calling is so much bigger. My blessing is so much bigger. Maybe I'm meant to inspire people. Maybe I'm meant to work for myself and just figure it out and just grow my relationship closer to God. I firmly believe in building a relationship with God and just strengthening that, and just, you know, doing, like, I do things like I journal every day. I journal and I talk to God about just a lot of things that are just going on in my life, and a lot of thoughts that I have, you know, whether things that have hurt me or things that I'm dealing with during the day. It could just be whatever. This particular situation, it stung a little bit, and so I've just been praying, because I have not been sleeping that great. I wake up like around 3 or 4 in the morning and I just stay up. And then getting on my phone does not make it any better. But I've just been praying, asking God to just guide me on the right path, on the right direction. Just give me the tools and the resources throughout life to get to the point where I need to get to give me strength, to give me courage, and I want to cast all of my worries and anxieties and frustrations. I want to cast all of those to Him. I want to give it to God, because I know I am a person where I try to handle and do things on my own. And I know that I have people who do support me and love me and want to be there for me. But it's always just been ingrained in me, like, oh, I know I'm going to get this done. I know I can get it done right, because I know who I am. And I don't need to depend on anyone. But in reality, I do. And maybe that's just what this situation is teaching me, to depend on people and know that it's not terrible to be a vulnerable person, but it's going to be okay. These drivers are driving so crazy. It's not a bad thing to be vulnerable. It's not a bad thing to open up and talk about my feelings and emotions and ask for help. It's more so like, okay, maybe I do need to ask for help. Maybe I do just need to sit back and just allow other people to help me. I don't, it could be whatever. But I'm giving this to God, and I'm just trying to figure out what my next move is, but also just praying about it. God has a plan, and my plans might not always align with God. And so it's just like, oh, what is it? Can you tell me? Can I at least know what the plan is so I can know how to go about it? But it's not meant for us to know. That's just the beauty of life. We're not meant to know. It's just like, I saw a post this morning where somebody was saying, it's like you're at the beach and you leave the sand, you leave land, and you start walking in the water, and then you start swimming, and it's like, what if you start swimming and then you look around to the point where you don't see any land around you? That's pretty crazy. But what if you get to that point and you don't see any land behind you, and it's just like, how do you go about it? And they in the way they said it was just like in a way of like trusting God, to know that God is going to lead you on the right path. throughout life. And you might be scared and you might be fearful of being in that moment and not knowing what direction to go in, but God has you. You're going to be okay. So this is just a learning experience for me. It's interesting. 2024 has just been interesting. Life has just been interesting. My boyfriend packed me some fruit before I left. Bless his heart. So, some peaches, some grapes, and some watermelon from the farmer's market. So, because I tend to leave the house and not eat. And he was like, oh, hold on, before you leave, before you go anywhere, I'm finna make this for you right quick. And I was like, thank you, babe. You're awesome. I told him sometimes, you were so cool. You're awesome. And he just starts cracking up. I'm like, I'm so serious. You're just so awesome. Yeah. But I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Trust God. Know that your plan might not always align with God's plan. And know that it's going to be okay. I'm really saying this to you all and to myself. It's scary because I don't know where the journey is taking me, but we're gonna figure it out. That's the beauty of it. We're gonna figure it out. In every situation I've been in, I've always figured it out. Like, literally, like, I've always figured it out. Or God has just blessed me in the most unexpected way at the most unexpected time. And it's just like, wow, God, you're cool. Like, thank you. And so it's just, I know the blessing is going to come when I least expect it, but it's just like, when, where is it? Tell me when it's going to come. Is it tomorrow? Is it next week? Is it next month? Is it next year? When? So, yeah, I'm just gonna go with the flow. Those words kept resonating and repeating in my head. Go with the flow, go with the flow. And I was like, okay, go with the flow. It was like something in my spirit was just telling me that, go with the flow. And I was like, okay, that's what I'll do. So Taylor's going with the flow, and we'll see where this takes me. But thanks for listening to me. Y'all are awesome. I'll be posting more stuff like this. This is kind of cool. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your experiences. Like, how are you navigating? If you've been laid off, how did you navigate it? How are you navigating life as a millennial? Like, millennials, we're in our 30s now, you know. How are we navigating life? You know, most of us can't even buy a house. The economy is so jacked up. It's just like, but then my friends who do have a house, they don't want it no more. It's just like, this is expensive. Property taxes are going up. My insurance has gone up. Random expenses and repairs, and they'll be like, oh, I wish, you know, I still had an apartment. I'm not where I wasn't tied down to. And it's just like, oh man, but I thought having a house was like the goal. That was the mission. So life is crazy right now. But, you know, we got the election coming up. They said something about the Federal Reserve and dropped some interest rates by 0.5%, or I don't know. That's cool, but is that paying my bills? Yeah. I mean, I think it's lowering interest rates on like auto loans and credit cards or whatever. I could be wrong, but yeah, we'll see. But thanks for tuning in. Bye.